Welcome back to Horseshoe Theory, the only tolerable white boy podcast. Today, we've got Jane Gatsby, a woman, but she's much more than that. We soft-launched her on our last episode as the Femoid Reaction Cam, and a lot of people felt bad for her. But you may change your opinion on that after she opens her mouth. Jane is a Substack writer and an advocate for network states, cryptocurrency, anti-democratic decentralization, a voluntarist, and sometimes calls herself a benevolent fascist. In this episode, we get into Curtis Yarvin, Nick Land, building network states, and the politics of being an e-girl. Isolate yourself from your friends and family for this episode. We're the only people you need.
We're here with Jane Gatsby, who is a woman.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
A woman on the Horseshoe Theory podcast. Just take a second to take that in.
Absorb that.
Absorb that.
Is that a big deal?
Oh, it's a huge deal.
Why?
People have been asking for a woman on the podcast for a while now, and we've never ever had one.
Mm-hmm.
I've had lots of men.
Lots of men.
Lots of men.
Lots of men. Never a woman. What's that like, being a woman?
I'm happy about it.
Yeah?
I'm pro being a woman. Yeah.
Would you rather be a man?
She's a serious thinker, Brogan. We have to talk about the ideas, the big picture ideas. We can't get lost in this minutia
No,
of
I'd rather be
identity.
a woman.
What do you think you'd be like if you were a man?
Actually, I was watching one of Gokanara's videos the other day, and I was like, I feel like I was like relating to him a lot, being like, I feel like if I was a boy, this is the type of boy I would
You'd be Gokanara if you were a man.
Maybe not exactly, but I just was like empathizing with him.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
Gokanaro exactly?
It's hard to explain. It was just a feeling.
Interesting.
I
Or
really-
Gokanaro could
He's a
be
sweet
her
boy.
if he was a girl.
You think?
No,
No.
probably not.
No, it only goes one way.
So you can transition to Gokanaro, but Gokanaro can
I
never
think I'd be a
transition
gay
to you.
man, though, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of gay man? Like top, bottom,
Bottom.
bottom.
Yeah, that's the whole, yeah.
Look,
Let's
let's
maintain the femininity.
there's a purpose to this podcast, and Jane's going to tell us how to build cities. She's a
Okay.
city-state girl. She's one of them city-state girls. And she's also going to explain mold bug to us.
Sure.
Yeah, she's going to explain a lot of things.
Sure.
Also the CCRU, because technically the group we have here in Toronto is the CCRU. It's just the Canadian CCRU.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the only person that actually reads the CCRU, because it's so incomprehensible gobbledygook. So hopefully you can illuminate that for us.
Oh, okay. I thought that was for YouTube for later.
Well, we'll do that later as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll tease it.
Okay. So how would you describe the tenets of your philosophy?
It's complicated.
Yeah, and you can't just say read Wonderland.
No, I can't. I do have a podcast, Substack,
Called Welcome to Wonderland.
where I elucidate all my ideas.
You're a
very
first principles
thoroughly.
thinker. You like
I
to
am.
get all of the baseline, logic done first and then build up from there.
Yeah,
I'm a last principles thinker. I like to start from
you and Broken both.
Yeah.
from the conclusion and work
Hell
backwards to
yeah.
justify it.
Yeah.
That's the most based way of positing.
Yeah, I'm starting with trying to get a handle on what this whole reality thing is and how it works, and then build up how you should navigate it through understanding what you're dealing with.
Okay, and it's fair to say you're like a localist. That's kind of one of the core tenets. You believe in localism.
I don't know if I identify with the word localism.
Well, you want everyone to make their own little city-states.
First and foremost, I'm a complexity theorist.
Okay.
And so one of the laws of complexity theory is like the 80-20 Pareto distribution notion. So that would suggest that, in any sort of system, like the 80% of the power is going to be concentrated in 20% of like the actors or agents. And so kind of gargantuanism is an inherent aspect of these things then.
So she's a right-winger. Jane's kind of the minority pick here because she's filling in the right-wing role and the woman role.
It's a big niche to fill.
We soft launched you on the last episode with the Black Pill podcast. A lot of people were feeling bad for you because you didn't get to speak. Now that you're going to speak, I think they're going to probably change their opinion.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
You shouldn't implant that idea in their minds. You should keep them open-minded.
Okay, yeah, be open-minded. You like convincing liberals and leftists of your ideas, right?
I'm all about being persuasive. I'm all about trying to bridge the political divide we're currently existing inside of.
Okay, and the best way to do that is by splitting us up into a bunch of fragmented city-states.
Only if you want to.
This is what
you
every-
can stay in Canada. If you're like JJ and you're happy living in Canada, then stick around. There's no problem with that.
This is what every crypto guy wants. They want to buy an island, and they want to move to that island and make their own.
The problem with most of these crypto people that want to buy an island is that they just kind of want to recreate the same systems that they already exist inside of, which is not very interesting to me.
But we're there at the top.
We're there at the top.
No, the crypto people are at the top.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Yeah.
one of the things you say politics right now is creating economy. You want economy to create politics. Explain that. What does that mean?
I think in the future, moving forward, people will start to use money to purchase and finance the sorts of systems that they want to exist inside of, the same way that you would go and buy anything else that capitalism could provide for you. You should be able to buy participation into a city that upholds your values or a state.
Right. So essentially, the world you're positing is like, if I don't like where I'm living, I can just buy my way into a new world.
I'm anti-democracy, or not even anti-democracy necessarily. I just don't think democracy is a very effective tool to actually get you the outcomes that you want. So you should have if you're just oriented towards, I want these political outcomes, and the best way to attain those is just by putting your money where your mouth is, rather than trying to convince a massive country full of people to adhere to your values. Because right now it's like there's like all the democracy hinges upon people competing with one another over like, how should we govern this massive swath of land when we've all got competing interests. And it's like, you don't have to fight. Just go
leave.
your separate ways. Yeah.
Just move and segment. And you think we're already heading
Vote
that
with your
direction? Because there's so much political polarization. What about this national divorce idea? Everyone just moves, the blue states and the red states. Is that kind of towards localism?
I don't think that's very tenable. I'm more interested in, like, instead of trying to repair the current structures that you're existing inside of that have so much bureaucracy and red tape that are getting in the way of meaningful political change, just exit, start from scratch, go get a little island, go get a little lease of land from some other country that has extra space that's unoccupied and they're happy to profit off of it, and then build your own thing. But you don't need to destroy the status quo either. You can just personally, you and another 10,000, 100,000 people.
On the concept of democracy, if I wanted to make a democratic little city-state, I could do that.
Sure, you can do whatever you want.
I could do a direct democracy city-state.
You can do a communist city-state. You can do a techno-capital city-state.
Right, so in your framework, the communists could have their own little place.
Yeah,
but in the communist framework, they would kill you.
Yeah, this is the problem with communists, is that it does not really a tenable ideology unless the whole world's adhering to it.
And yet you are wearing this, we have nothing to lose but our chains.
I am.
You're being a little provocative?
Well, I mean, this could apply to my philosophy also. That's why I got it.
Right. A little bit of horseshoe theory there.
Exactly.
Communism and were you always a libertarian? What was your political journey like?
I was grew up in a very apolitical household. We didn't have a television or anything. I never watched news. My family was very I grew up in Winnipeg in a very liberal area. My family was very liberal hippies, NDP people.
Wiggle your feet. You were getting the foot cam.
Oh, just only 1 foot down. And I didn't really get interested in politics until I did my first year of university at U of T. And then I befriended some people that had more conservative points of view and got into some fun debates with them. And then that was right around the time when the 2016 election was I don't know, what do they call the election year beforehand, what we're in right now. And
the primaries?
Yeah. There's another word for when you're revving up.
The rev up?
Just the election year?
Yeah, this is gonna be a theme in this conversation where we're gonna know a lot of big abstract ideas, but not know
this is the
all
basic
the states.
terminology. Yeah. And so
JJ is literally malding as he's watching this podcast.
He can type in the comments whatever the
JJ, make one of your rants in the comments and then get into arguments because you get a notification when someone responds to the comment.
JJ and I can just have a full conversation in the comment section.
Well,
that's good engagement.
Yeah, that's true.
For our video.
We'll save that for when he's back in Toronto. But yeah.
And then I moved back to Winnipeg and I took a year off from school and was kind of trying to suss out what I wanted to actually do my degree in, and was spending time online. And then that's kind of when I fell down a rabbit hole of, interestingly enough, the first thing that kind of got me more interested in other political points of view was I was a Reddit lurker. And there was a time when Milo Yiannopoulos got banned from Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I kept seeing this being talked about on Reddit, and I didn't care because I'm I don't know who this guy is. And eventually people keep talking about it. I'm okay, who's this person? And I looked him up, and then I found that, I don't know if either of you have seen it, there's a interview he's done with Dave Rubin talking about feminism. It's a 15-minute video, and I watched that, and that was interesting. And then I kind of started watching other things he was doing, and then that went into Ben Shapiro videos. And then because I was a student at U of T, then when Peterson made his first pronoun video, whatever, BLC 16 thing, I was saw one of the first articles that was talking about that, and then followed the whole IDW collective up until they kind of fell apart in 2020. And so over those 4 years, I got very interested in political theory and philosophy and culture topics.
Right. So it's somewhere along the way, you went from intellectual dark web, IDW, to dark enlightenment. Mm-hmm. You were just like, you followed the dark through line.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm. Now you're reading a book about eugenics. That's one way to follow the dark through line.
I'm not a eugenicist for the people at home.
Oh yeah, what's the name of the book you're reading?
Selective reading and the birth of philosophy.
Interesting.
You're going to read any sort of book you want. You don't have to agree with the premise.
Mm-hmm.
You're just learning.
You're just learning. She's just learning about eugenics. She's not a eugenicist.
No.
Okay.
You want to know how I got from like IDW to...
Yeah, how did that happen?
So...
Because Moldbug is her father. And
Land is my papa.
And Land is her papa, Nick Land. So she likes these dark enlightenment fellas. And just for the people at home, the dark enlightenment thought that the Enlightenment was a mistake. That's the premise.
Is it?
The Enlightenment values, the liberal Enlightenment values of truth and rationality.
No, I don't think they think it was a mistake. They're just saying that democracy is the god that failed.
Okay, that sounds like it was.
I thought the dark.
No, because then it's like start doing some like revisionist history where it's like, oh, if only this hadn't happened. They're not saying if only it hadn't happened. They're saying the propositions that the Enlightenment introduced were just like, they're incomplete. They're not bringing you to the goals that you suppose because there's an inherent contradiction between liberty and democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there? I don't like this stuff. I always liked right-wing politics are so fun because it's just statements. Like there's no theory. You know what I mean?
Well, I can explain the theory behind the statement.
That's why I don't like. Not that I don't like, but I have trouble getting into the dark enlightenment stuff because there's no strong personality. There's no strong statement. It's too theory heavy. Yeah. I don't like reading.
It's hard to make a YouTube video essay about it.
Yeah.
A fun YouTube video essay.
Yeah. Like the IDW is great because they didn't have like a philosophy. They're just not left, and they're like this thing's bad and this thing's bad and this thing's bad.
Well, they kind of had they were like liberal.
Classical liberals.
Yeah, but there wasn't like I don't think you could write a book. There couldn't be like
Pavement ready books.
I know, but there couldn't be like a tome about the IDW. There's just not enough there. And if there was, it would just be like endless.
It's a diverse group of thinkers.
Yeah. The IDW being Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, and
Brett
Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
It's Weinstein,
Rick
actually.
Rubin.
Eric Weinstein.
What's that guy's name? Sam Cedar?
Sam Harris?
Sam Harris, yeah.
Sam Cedar.
Sam Cedar in the IDW.
Rick Rubin in the IDW.
You should do this with your lip.
No.
And then you should put this in there.
I already had some.
Oh, well, I want one. Is there any more?
You can suckle on that one.
That's
I don't want the full
thing of nicotine pouches. Get in there.
Okay, you think the thing I said about democracy being contradictory with freedom?
Yeah. Well, okay. What's complexity theory? I had that question. Like,
okay. So yeah, this is a good thing to explain. This is like the second episode of my podcast. The first thing I talk about. I talk about it through like a metaphysics of complexity, because to me, understanding complexity is like the base strata of reality. So complexity is like basically the study of complex adaptive systems, which are everywhere. Everything basically can be described through complexity dynamics. And it's kind of like a meta science where it's just understanding how these systems operate and the forces that control them. So like the kind of, I don't know, my de facto example of a complex adaptive system is like an ant colony, where the ants are all these different agents, and they go around and they've got drives, they've got food that they're seeking, and they have pheromones that they use to send signals to the other ants when they find food, and then they create trails and will kind of transmit messages throughout the system. And the ant colony as a total entity has more knowledge and intelligence than any of the ants individually. So you get these emergent phenomena that are greater than the sum of their parts.
All right, and that's complexity theory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a simplicity theorist. I just say, look at these ants.
No, you like Deleuze a lot. So
look at these little ants.
No.
What about systems theory?
Same thing, more or less.
Okay.
Systems theory is complexity theory?
I mean, there's like some differences because like not all systems are necessarily complex. But like there's a lot of overlap.
Arizona passed an abortion law. It was like complete ban of all abortion, basically. It's like an 1800s law. Is this but we're talking about this, like, you could have like California becomes like a tech accelerationist state, and they're right next to like, an abortion like trad state. Is this kind of what the network state that you're envisioning would look like?
So like, yeah, the founding fathers, like their vision for America was to have like all the
Pull that up, Jamie.
Saplo.
He's Jamie for the duration of this. I'll bring it here and I'll unlock it. But keep going.
Their founding fathers, the idea was like, yeah, the state system. So you're going to have a bunch of different states that are all smaller and doing their own thing. But then over time, America's gotten much more dominated by like the federal system.
The cathedral.
Yeah, sure.
The cathedral. This is a mold bug idea. He says cathedral instead of deep state, but everyone's got their own word.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cathedral's different.
Yeah?
Cathedral's less conspiratorial.
Right.
Cathedral seems more, like the concept of the cathedral seems more indicative of complexity theory, where like just like all the systems kind of average towards the same point.
Well,
like
cathedral, sorry.
Well, like there's no like tangible difference between an education from like Harvard or Columbia, or like what MSNBC is saying versus CNN, right? Like it's just everything kind of like refinement culture is like the term that they use now in interior design, where everything, like all apartments look the same, all hotels look the same, the airplane interiors look the same, like everything just sort of moves towards a singular point.
Yeah, so there's something to be said about like when you talk about like wealth inequality or apartments or what have you, like there should be some natural like complexity would say there should be some natural like difference there. That 80-20 law is like a universal like law of nature that you can apply to like fucking the volume of planets in the solar system or like the size of like trees in the rainforest or all sorts of things. But then if you've got too much like top-down government intervention, then that can overregulate things like you could have more income inequality than would be natural because certain people have like advantages that they're being given by the state, or maybe apartments are looking more similar because there's a bunch of laws that are coming into place or people are trying to cut corners or things. So then you're getting more homogeneity than you would naturally expect, where like that small 20% minority is where all the difference is occurring that then allows the system to be adaptive.
Yeah. And that small 20% is what creates culture.
Yeah, exactly. So like in the
changes.
ant colony example, it's like all of the ants, most of this is like if anyone is like familiar with like Nassim Taleb and like the notion of anti-fragility.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so you've got most of the ants in the colony are just like going in the same paths that have already been established and like harvesting food. But then if you've got one ant that's like just decides to wander off and do his own little thing somewhere else, maybe he'll discover like a new, even better source of food way out in left fields that none of the ants would find.
Yeah.
So that 20% is what allows the system to be adaptive and thus anti-fragile.
The artist Sigma ant.
Stupid little Sigma ant.
Exploring new
homies.
Exploring new
But
psychic
if the ant
territory.
colony was to start regulating, being like, all the ants, like we figured out where the food is, just go down these pathways, we got it covered, boys. Now the system can no longer evolve and it gets stagnant.
We could develop a theory of like Sigma complexity.
Sigma complexity?
Yeah, creating like Sigma groups, like where the Sigma is actually a unit.
Right.
Instead of
well, that's post Sigma.
Post Sigma, instead of a lone operator, the Sigma is a unit.
Yeah,
a collective Sigma that explores new psychic territory in groups of 3.
Yeah, the ant needs to leave with some homies. 5 to 10 homies.
Yeah.
And then create a internet person compound in Toronto.
I'm down for that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, post Sigma.
Pretty fun.
We have to rewind a little bit. You started a lot of conversation threads.
All right, complexity theory, cathedral, refinement.
Oh, that's not going to get any better.
No.
Yes.
So how is democracy and liberty paradoxical?
That's a good question.
Because democracy is just rule of the majority, and so you can quickly lose your rights to liberty by just people voting against them, right?
Yeah.
This is a common libertarian argument. When you get really libertarian, you stop believing in democracy because you just want capital to run everything, basically.
So what about the notion that there is no good system and then democracy is just the least worse? Like I like the idea of a compromise is where no one's happy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Like a good compromise.
You think everyone can be happy?
I think everyone can be happy.
I don't think
I'm an optimist.
As long as they have enough money.
No. These things trickle down. So all technology, it's like, sure, the first few like city-states that emerge, which is going to be how politics is formed in like the future, because all of the earth has already been occupied, and so the only way you can kind of start experimenting with new systems is by making little pockets within greater ones that allow you to do those things. What was your question? Lost my train of thought.
I'm thinking about other things now.
I guess I'm thinking. I see what you mean a little bit. Because I'm pretty like. I feel like as I get older, I just get like black pill.
You're saying everything's going to stay the same?
No. What I'm saying is like, so you say that like Trump's thing where he's trying Project 2025. Pull that up, Jamie. Project 2025 basically is this scheme the Republicans have when they win, or if they win, to give the president a lot more power. This would make like basically making him a more centralizing, totalizing force. And you like that. even though that's a centralizing argument. But you also like the decentralizing.
Yeah, because you should be able to like choose who has power over you. So the people that whoever, like, if the president in power is the one that you want, she's creating policy changes that you want, then you'll be like, great, this bill is wonderful. But if you're on the opposite side of that, then you're not going to like it. So
if you have a totalizing, centralizing force that wants to expand its power and keep getting other people inside of it, like that, there's the nature of decentralizing and then re-centralizing and blah 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 blah. Right. So how do you square that? You want an authoritarian dictator Trump, but then you also want the city state where everyone's governing themselves.
When did I say I want authoritarian dictator Trump? I want people to be able to volitionarily choose which systems they want to participate inside of. So if you're living in China right now and you don't like what the government's doing, you don't have the ability to opt out.
Right.
So the whole dark enlightenment conceit is the ability to opt out of systems, and you doing that through finances. Right. I was talking about how technology trickles down. So like when cars are first invented, or like flat screen TVs or something, these are like luxury objects that only the very wealthy can afford. So obviously in an experimental city state, that's like got a lot of risk associated with it. And the first people that are going to move into these new places are going to be people that are wealthy and can afford to adopt those risks and have secondary passports and what have yous. But then as these things get more generalized and common and acceptable, they trickle down, and then more people can access them.
So this is just a new technology, essentially. Like rich people going off buying islands. That's just a new technology. It'll trickle down. We'll all have like options for where to go.
Yeah, I guess you could frame it that way.
And we vote with our feet.
Vote with your feet or your dollar.
Or your dollar. But never with your vote, because you don't vote. You're too good for that.
My vote doesn't matter.
Why?
Because I'm it's a false premise to pretend that like living in the places that I've lived in, my vote would have any meaningful influence over the outcome of a given election. And also because I don't respect the system and I don't actually want any of the people that are candidates.
I mean, me neither, but I still vote.
Okay,
Just flip a coin.
you can do that, but you're clearly viewed as equally as arbitrary then. So I would just rather stay home and read my philosophy books and try to do meaningful political change from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just like I feel like I just don't. I was saying as I get older, I don't trust people to make good decisions anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't trust anybody to make good decisions.
This is what I want.
I meet so many dumb people.
This is why I want states to be ran like governments, because then it's like you just want competency. And so it's like if you're outcome oriented, what are your political values? What do you want?
If I'm outcome oriented, liberty.
Okay.
Yeah,
what else?
individual liberty. I just like liberty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you trust Justin Trudeau to grant you liberty?
No.
Okay. So, but then let's pretend Elon Musk gets on Twitter tomorrow and he's like, hey guys, decide to start a city-state. Here's what the Constitution is. It costs $10,000 a year. It's going to be here. I've negotiated treaties with all these governments. It's going to be great. Bring your friends. And I'll guarantee you these certain things. And it's just like, this is the price of it. No extra taxes.
Maybe if I liked the Constitution.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can imagine 50 different constitutions. So Bernie Sanders or whoever the fuck can do their own little things.
I want a dog city-state.
Dogs?
Yeah, all dogs.
Okay. There's already islands in Asia like that, I think. Or at least rabbits. There's cats or something.
You can like live among the dogs. You can get raised by wolves.
And the dogs control the government.
They've
got like little button things that you press so they talk. Like raise taxes over and over.
Raise taxes.
Yeah.
I'm like 95% taxes is pretty high, but I'm really enjoying the dog city-state.
Yeah.
So you could have ethno-states.
Yeah, you can have ethno-states.
Yeah, you have no problem with that?
No.
You think
Let 100 flowers bloom.
Right.
I don't think the ethno-state's going to be very successful. But if people want it, again, it's like you can either have like a race war in America, or you can just have the black nationalists and the white nationalists go and create their little place and then see how long they like eating only white people food.
And then we're assuming in this world they're not going to kill each other.
I think this is like a common conceit that the white nationalists have. They're like, we just want to like preserve our own autonomy. They're not really interested in genocide.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, how do we prevent war amongst the autonomous regions?
I mean,
what if like, okay, so there's a communist one, and then there's like a localist one, then there's like a small libertarian island, then there's an island that's like, oh, our constitution, our only policy issue is world domination. That's all they care about. And all the people who want world domination go to one island or go to one part of fucking Russia, and their commonality is the desire to own the entire planet. How do we stop them from just taking over?
I'm assuming that the other places would all team up and go against them, right?
What if they had nukes?
But if all the other places team up and go against the place that wants world domination, all the other places have to come to some sort of common ground.
Right, and they make
people tend to get united against a common threat when the common threat emerges.
And then what if they want to start trading with each other at discounted rates, and then some of them have like very similar policies when in a group, so they start making like nations.
Yeah. So this is the complexity thing, right? Like then you'll obviously aggregate. Like there's the deterritorialization and the reterritorialization, where it's like you might have a bunch of independent city-states that all have like baseline libertarian values, and then after they've been operating for a while, then they go, you know what? Like we've already got people kind of hopscotching between these different locations for business purposes or weather or whatever, and so we might as well make this more of a universal passport, and then you get like a EU sort of situation going on.
Okay, I'm gonna give you some examples of things that actually happen. You're gonna tell me if it's good or bad. Brexit.
What do you mean good or bad? Like,
good or bad?
Good.
Tell me what to think.
Sure, good.
World's confusing. Good. Okay. National divorce in the future.
Untenable.
Untenable. Why?
It's just untenable.
How do we get to this city-state utopia in your brain? Do we all just think first principle style until it happens?
So I'm interested in, like, if anyone knows Balaji Srinivasan, he has this book called The Network State. And so I like the idea of, like, what I'm trying to do with my work is, like, think through first principles, establish all the ideas first, and, like, have a really firm philosophical foundation for what it is you're trying to do before you start. Like, the problem with lots of the people that are trying to do this right now, like the Praxis people, the Prospera people, or the Vitality ones.
Vitalia.
Yeah. It's like they're putting the cart before the horse in terms of, like, they're trying to get territory and then figure out everything out after the fact. When I'm like, no. Like, you really need to figure out your ideas. What is it you're actually going to be doing that's meaningfully different?
So they actually have some morals and values.
Have morals and values established.
Because most of these people are just sociopath lizard people.
They just want to have a place in the Bahamas to go chill with their crypto buddies and, like, stay in a resort for the weekend.
And they don't actually have any values behind that.
Well, I mean, those are their values, which is fine, but you're not really doing politics. You're just doing, like, chilling with your homies.
Okay, you're given $1 billion and 1,000 hectares in Utah. What do you do? What's your 20-year plan?
Well, I was going to say, for my thing, the first thing would be, like, actually develop the ideas as richly and thoroughly as you can in terms of, like, how is this going to look practically? What is the government? How's the government going to operate?
Step one, think tank.
Think tank, yeah. And so it's like, first of all, it's just me, and then expand, get other people interested, use the internet. That's the wonderful technology the internet provides, is you can start bringing together like-minded people from all over the world. We're getting more globalized in that sense. And then start building a community around just, like, the internet infrastructure. And so you can start doing economics and all these different things just in the digital realm. And then once you're like, okay, this really works. I even like the idea of, like, using, like, fucking Minecraft servers or something to, like, start, okay, we've got, like, all our policy proposals, but, like, would this actually work? Like, why would you go fuck with real people's lives and land when you could just be like, we're just gonna make a Minecraft server and explore, like, how this would operate functionally, and we'll put a bounty on people who can find loopholes in the system, so you can patch those things before you actually start doing it in real life. And then, okay, now I've got my $1 billion and land in Utah. Then whoever people, maybe you've got, like, 10,000 people that are, like, really interested in participating in that community. Then you start, like, literally territorializing and building things and doing all the rest of it.
I think we are doing small scale, like, stuff like that online, where we have, like, a Discord. You have a Discord server, or whatever, run by certain rules, parameters in the metaverse. You know, you can make the rules and laws whatever you want them to be. You can make the kind of reality that you want, and then you can test that online, and then you can apply it to the real world.
Exactly.
What works best online? What's the platform that you think functions the best with the least amount of friction to propagate good ideas without it falling apart?
Minecraft.
It's an interesting question.
I built my city-state in Minecraft, but then that becomes such a useful and powerful tool that everyone just plays Minecraft all day and no one does any actual politicsing. Or Discord. There's a lot of interesting political systems on Discord. I ran a Discord, and it changed the political philosophy every month. So I'd have, like, a narco-monarchy, which is kind of what you're describing. You get to pick who's ruling over you. So there's a bunch of different servers, and they all have different rules and different mods. And you can pick which one you want to go. And if you get tired of one server, you go to a different server.
Exactly.
Or I had a direct democracy server where everyone can vote on every single rule. So if you want to kick someone, you just be like, I want to kick this guy, and then 35 upvotes, 25 downvotes. Okay, he gets kicked.
Yeah.
Or I like that we had to make the groomer bot server.
Yeah, the groomer bot server.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell a course, and it gives you access to a Discord, and the Discord is just a bunch of bots grooming each other. Because I really think that Discord as a tool for people that, unless you're, like, organizing real people, is only useful for grooming children.
Yep, 500 child bots, 500 groomer bots.
I'm 12. You're so mature. I'm 13. You're so mature.
It just goes back and forth.
What was your question?
Did I have a question?
The platform that works the best.
Oh.
What was your question?
Yeah.
I don't think we have a really good platform, honestly.
It's true, yeah. I think there's like pros and cons of different social medias. Like, I definitely think there's this interesting. I never used to use Twitter until I like started trying to promote my podcast, and then realized like, oh, Twitter's really good for networking, but like the actual like tweet content is rarely something that's going to be super interesting. But it's more so like the people that are on Twitter are interesting. And like I've always used YouTube. I love YouTube, but there's definitely like a left-right divide in my mind of like mostly like leftist video essayist people congregate on YouTube, and then more like right-wing coded tech people are on Twitter. And then Twitter bleeds to Substack and YouTube bleeds to Patreon. And then like I like the idea of running a Discord server in the future, because once I start actually trying to like do more community building stuff, and like I like the idea of live streaming as a way of kind of having a process of like, oh, okay, what's like the problem of the week that we're trying to solve, and then you've got people in chat that are contributing information and stuff like that, so you can kind of have this back and forth.
More Discord servers, Jane Gatsby says.
Well, I've never ran a Discord server. I don't really know what the most like ideal platform is to make ideas proliferate. The problem with Discord is it's kind of like everything's flattened in a way. Like I think you need to have more hierarchical structures. I used to use forums when I was like a kid. Forums are kind of fun. I'd be here for the rebirth of the forum.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So none of the platforms we have right now, you think? Because okay, what does an ideal platform look like though? Is it one that everyone uses?
I think like the closer you get to reality, probably the better of a test it is. So I mean, you can get little things like when you make a Minecraft server based off certain rules, you know, make a political compass in Minecraft and put the off left people on the top left of the corner and the lib right people on the bottom right, and see what happens. And they both govern themselves however their philosophy dictates. And then you see what happens. That's like kind of an interesting small scale, low resolution experiment. But as we get into like the metaverse and stuff like you can literally just like, okay, I'm literally walking around in this fake world and stuff and testing things out and buying things and selling things. Then that becomes even better. But we're not really there yet, to be honest.
Yeah. But so, I guess you're saying there is no, like, what the failing of democracy is that it's looking for this ideal that works for everybody, and that ideal doesn't exist, and we should localize into a bunch of smaller ideals.
I think the problem with democracy is it's just making people, it kind of, by its very nature, it like induces competition over the scarce resource that is the state. And so it's like, and the outcome is always winner take all. And then also you're like flipping back and forth, generally speaking, between like who's running the country. And so if you actually have political plans that require a long-term vision, there's like actually no way of implementing those things, because it's like, oh, the person's swapping out every 4 years. So you can't make long-term planning viable. And then that's detrimental for the functioning of the society.
What pisses you off the most?
Nothing.
Like mid-20s woman living in Toronto.
People who walk slowly or unconscientiously. That's like genuinely the only thing that it'll piss me off. And I'm like, this is like a silly thing.
No slow walkers in your city state.
At first, there probably won't be. Yeah, because they'll all be very industrious people who tend to walk faster.
Standing on escalators.
Yeah, no, standing on escalators.
I love fucking walking past people on escalators.
Yeah, me too.
I live for that. Taking this, oh my god, when you get off the subway and the escalator shoulder to shoulder, the stairs are empty, and you walk up the stairs and go faster than everybody.
So Wonderland is your posit for like the city state you would create, basically.
And interestingly, it didn't start that way. It started by me just trying to like put my voice onto the internet concerning like kind of responses to cultural, philosophical, political conversations that were happening when I'm hearing these people get into these long-winded debates, like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson talking about free will determinism or something. And it's like 2018 and I'm sitting in my bedroom being like, I could see how you guys are like talking past one another. Like I have like a little key that solves this riddle. And then looking for people that were kind of interested in the thinking along the lines that I was, and finding no one. So initially I started doing Wonderland just as a way of kind of establishing a groundwork for what I think and why. And then it wasn't until I got to the 6th episode where I talked about the structure of liberty, which was like the politics episode, when I discovered Curtis Yarvin and Mencius Moldbug. And that was like a revelatory moment for me, because up until that point I had been trying to figure out how to square like libertarianism and democracy, and like reading lots of anarchist texts, but then being like, well, anarchism is not like a tenable political ideology, but how are you supposed to, if you want to have like these like liberal principles governing your society, then who, like, shouldn't the Constitution just be the Constitution? Like, who would you be voting in to like serve to fulfill that function, like why would it be switching around if like there should be established set rules? And then I found Moldbug and was like, you don't need to have democracy. That fixes all the problems. And it also kind of resolves the issue that there's like you could say like the left is concerned about like money influencing politics, and the right is concerned about what am I trying to say? Power influencing like the market, right? And so Moldbug's solution to these competing forces of like force and finance as like two aspects of power, and where they're both kind of like jockeying for control over the system, and it's never really clear like, oh well, are these regulations coming into place because they're serving some special interest party, or is this actually for the betterment of the people, yada yada, like just. And there's always a question. This is like the cathedral is trying to answer the question of like, who's in power in this current system? Is it really the leaders, or is there another group that's in power? And then the answer is that identify who's in control. And then the best way to remove corruption from the system, which both sides are concerned about, is by just making power consolidated in a very clear point that has both force and finance. And now there's nobody that can corrupt like the sovereign or the monarch or the king or whatever.
Yes.
The president.
Moldbug is a monarchist in the traditional
royalist
sense of monarchist, like rule by one, concentrate all the power into one node.
Yeah.
I can hear JJ seething.
Moldbug's he's really exciting to find. Like when you first read those ideas, it feels so subversive. It's just one of those things like you just like it's so different than anything you read.
Yeah.
When you're getting into political theory, when you're getting into different thinkers, you find Yarvin, you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah, I always said like
no one's saying this.
Yeah, that's how I feel when someone explains Yarvin. I don't have to read it.
When I read there's this one blog post he has from Mises to Carlyle. When I read that, I was like, oh, this taught me more than my entire political science degree in like the course of an afternoon.
Explain how power bleeds.
This is something you're interested in.
Yeah,
you mentioned this.
This is really cool concept of how bureaucracy leaks power.
Say more.
It's like when things become bureaucratic, you like have to. So it's like you defer blame in the system, right? So like the system no one ever takes blame. Blame always gets deferred to like outside parties, and then once you defer blame, those parties become part of the bureaucracy, and power gets less concentrated and things become more bureaucratic.
Well, there's like a lack of accountability because everyone can just point fingers at everyone else down the line, and it's always like, oh, it's a system or the structure or my boss, so I don't want to lose my job, or like, there can be a lot of excuses as to why, well, like everyone's propagating this thing that doesn't work and no one actually likes the thing, but then everyone's so intertwined and intermeshed with the thing that it's like really impossible to step out of it unless you want to be the guy to take the fall.
Yeah, I think the example he uses is during COVID, like the amount that the medical system was folded into the government. Like that was kind of unprecedented, as like the medical system or big pharma having power like analogous to the government is a new concept. But then it makes bureaucracy worse. But now more people have more power.
Yeah, one of the ideas that was sparked from people telling me about Moldbug, again, I am illiterate and I will never read, is this idea that like eventually, if you view states as like big corporations, then eventually there's going to be corporations that have more money than states, and that we're getting to that point already. And you see this with like...
We're already at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you see this with like the governments are now negotiating with tech companies, being like, give me a little bit of techno capital, please, just to drop.
No, when states become customers.
Right.
That blew me away with even with Nova Scotia, the government sold 28 provincial properties to a developer in California, and then there was such a big outcry, so we tried to buy them back, and with the money we got from selling them, we could only buy back 3.
Damn.
Yeah. So I was like, that moment, I remember when I was like, I think it was like 2019, 2020, I was like, oh fuck, like Nova Scotia's a customer. Nova Scotia, like there is no state, Nova Scotia isn't the top of like power structures where the state is always at the top. It's like it's a customer to companies.
So I got to pick which billionaire I'm going to be a serf under.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody. Yeah.
Zuck.
You pick Zuck?
Yeah. I forgive him.
I like him more and more. He's less of a lizard person now.
Yeah.
He's done a great job at humanizing himself in the last 2 years.
Yeah. He got a PR team or something.
Yeah.
They're like, you need to get jacked.
Better haircut, less pale.
The PR team was like, challenge Elon Musk to a cage fight, and he was like, okay.
Yeah. Everyone's like, wow. Mark Zuckerberg is epic?
Which billionaire would you live under, Jane Gatsby?
I like Elon Musk.
Yeah. You like Elon Musk a little too much.
Why?
Well, yesterday we were talking about this idea that Elon Musk had this program where he pays you $100,000 to bear his children, and Jane was like, "Oh, I'd do that."
Yeah.
And then we were like, "Well, you don't actually have to have sex with him." And then you're like, "No."
I've had dreams that I've dated Elon Musk. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's so weird looking.
He's got that fridge body.
Got that fridge body.
He's got that pale fridge body.
That was pre-Ozempic.
Oh yeah. He sleeps 5 hours a night and works like 100 hours a week. He can have a fridge body.
Sleeping on the factory floor, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get a UBI ethnostate?
Sure, you can do whatever you want, Greg.
Yeah. Yippee.
Nothing pisses you off about living in like
just the slow walkers.
just the slow walkers.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're like Toronto's utopia.
I'm not saying it's utopia. I'm saying it doesn't piss me off.
Would you rather be somewhere else? Like, what would you?
I want to be warmer. Yeah.
What would you change?
I want to be warm.
Yeah.
I want to be in a city that's walkable and beautiful. Europe's good for that. There's a reason people like going to Europe.
So Wonderland's a walkable city.
Oh hell yeah.
Is it 15-minute city?
Yeah.
Oof.
Wait,
You're not gonna
it's
get a
just
lot.
everything's in a 15-minute walk, right?
No, it's so the government can kill you.
Yeah,
What?
so the government can make you eat bugs and kill you.
No, okay. No, that's what 15 minutes
That's what
means.
the right-wing conspiracy theory idea of walkable cities is.
Okay, well that's stupid.
So you're triggering the lefties and the righties with this one.
That's always my intention. I should also mention for the viewers at home that I am both very pro-capitalism, but I'm also against land ownership.
Mm-hmm. She's a Georgist.
I'm a Georgist. Look it up. It's good to read. So I think people should rent land from the government, and that would ameliorate a lot of the income inequality issues that we see right now, and just make land occupied more efficiently.
So when you say rent land from the government, do you mean a big centralizing, totalizing government, or do you mean like the government that has set up a little patchwork colony here?
Well, I'm assuming it's like impossible to implement Georgism in any status quo situation because all the landowners would not be okay with that.
We already lease our land from the bank. You don't own your land.
Your name's on the but you own it. Like, what do you mean?
From the bank.
What?
Like you don't own your land in Toronto. You don't own your house.
Look, we're not here to talk about how the reality actually works on this podcast.
But there's nowhere in Canada where you like.
What do you mean? Of course you own the property.
Yeah, but you lease it from the when you have a mortgage, you're leasing it from the bank.
But then once you pay off the mortgage, then the land's
then you
yours.
own the land, right?
Yeah.
I think they can get it back. I don't think it's like
they can do eminent domain and stuff, but I think the idea is you do own it.
The
Yeah.
idea.
The idea, but then they can eminent domain it.
Yeah.
But like in China, you're just explicitly always renting it from the government, which is what you want.
I don't want that.
Read some Georgism, you might change your mind.
No.
Okay. Land ownership is like the real source of like in the whole like Marxist critique of capital and the greedy capitalists that are how dare they start these factories and give people jobs. It's like the real problem is if you have access to territory and you can control who else is able to like work the land and generate profits off of their labor, then you can start like driving wages down, and then you have like monopolistic power over this territory and you can kind of do whatever you want with it, and the people are just beholden to your whim, and so then that creates economic issues. Whereas if you were to have like a land tax that's based on the desirability of the location, because what gives land value is like the density and the other people around it.
Yeah.
Then that would be like that in and of itself would be enough to pay for like basically all the government services that you're getting.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So then get rid of all the weird tax, like you're getting audited right now. Like get rid of all the craziness of the tax system that doesn't make any sense. Be like $10K for your flat citizenship fee, and then whatever spot of land you're renting, that whatever that rent is for the year.
The value added tax. What is it called?
Just like the land value tax.
Land value tax.
And that's it. Very straightforward.
Speaking of land, why is he your papa?
Mournful sigh.
I just love him.
Whimsical sigh.
I often see you at the studio and you're reading land and you're like, papa.
Papa, yeah. I don't necessarily say it out loud.
She does.
Land's a complexity theorist, and so
Nick Land.
Yeah, and so I like him for that reason.
Founder of accelerationism, but you're not an accelerationist.
I'm a UAC. Per your video.
You're UAC?
It's just unconditional. It's like
Right.
it's like there's no point in like stepping on the gas or the brakes. I'm just trying to live my life. Like the whole acceleration point is kind of moot to me. It's like you're just describing reality, but it's not like a call to action.
So whether or not you try to make these city-states, they're going to happen.
Yeah.
But hopefully with your input, they'll have actual values behind them.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to say is that I'm both against land ownership by individuals, and then I'm also against intellectual property.
Yes. This is but this isn't as as edgy as you think it is.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. You guys seem okay with that idea. Other people balk at the notion. But again, that kind of introduces weird problems with the market system and it provides unfair advantage to people.
That is I guess I'm thinking more small potatoes. But I'll go to there's a Twitter page called Schizo Edit Archive, and I just get all my skits. I use a lot of schizo edits. And I just get all my schizo edits from there. I'm like, that's a fucking concept. Schizo edit. They just pop up, and then I'll get people angry I didn't cite who I got the edit from. Like, why the fuck would I cite this thing I found on Twitter?
The internet is good for that in terms of there's kind of information flows unfettered.
Yeah, steal my whole.
Imagine you put your heart and soul
you.
into a beautiful schizo edit and it gets 1,000 views.
And then I saw it in a video that got
$1 million.
I saw it in a video got 300,000. I go, awesome.
It's mine now. Screen record.
No, it'd be so sick. If I made a piece of art that showed up in a video, I'm like, I added to the zeitgeist.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want a little credit?
Why would I want what?
Wouldn't you want a little tag?
What does the credit do?
Imagine you're like a starving artist and you're working on your art and then someone just
I should get better at fucking business. I should have marketed better originally so that when I steal it, everyone's like, oh, you stole this thing that's huge.
Yeah, that's the thing is there tends to be bottom-up backlash to these sorts of things. It's like if you're an artist and some fucking, I don't know, like H&M or something decides to steal your design and stick it on a t-shirt, eventually people will figure these things out and there's a backlash and then there's a lot of people trying to give credit where credit is due. I do think I'm against IP, but I am pro some notion of being able to trace where the source of something comes from that you're purchasing. So if I want to go and get I don't know, a Gucci bag or something, there should be a way of authenticating if this actually came from Gucci or not, because then that's more about being lied to. So you can't pass off something that you created that's not your own, but you could take it from somebody else.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what NFTs are good for. When NFTs come back around and actually assume
Have
their final form, that's what it'll be. But what about IP with ideas also pisses me off too. When I'm talking about an idea and they're like, oh, that's actually this philosopher said it. I'm like, I don't give a fuck who said it. I said it. I'm saying it now as well because I live in reality and made the fucking
have this notion of attractor states. So there's this thing where the inventions that we all credit, like Thomas Edison made the light bulb or something, but it's actually, I don't know if it was the light bulb or a different one, but it's there's a story of these two dudes who the same day both came up with the same invention are racing to the patent office, and one dude gets there first and it's they get all the credit and the other guy gets nothing. And patents are crazy because even if you independently invent an idea or technology or something, it's it doesn't matter if you came to it of your own terms. If the thing's already been patented, then you can't get anything of it. Yeah. Even if you just in your own little garage were tinkering and came up with swipe to unlock or something, and now no one else can use it. So patents stifle innovation because then it means big corporations can make patent pools where they're okay, among us we'll share all our great technology. But if a little guy's trying to make a cell phone, fucking squash him down, and then you can't have little guys thriving or meaningful innovation occurring, which is just then stagnates things.
IP. You bet I do. Hey, I want to go back to Wonderland. Explain, I walk into Wonderland. What is the positivist vision you're creating? What am I seeing? What's it like? You call yourself a benevolent fascist.
Yeah.
So that means within Wonderland is a bit of fascism.
I'm using the word fascism just as a analogy for dictator, monarch, all that.
So Wonderland has a monarch.
Fascist. Yeah.
So you're a monarchist within the context of localism. Yeah,
I don't want one global monarch. I want 100 monarchs.
You're an anarcho-monarchist.
Sure. When you come to Wonderland, I like the idea of another aspect of complexity is this notion of fractals or recursiveness. So it's you see when you zoom out or and you see similar structures, and so this notion of kind of having the nested politics, you could say. 50 different states and they're all doing slightly different things. Within a city, I like the idea of taking a city and then dividing it into districts where different districts would serve different value systems. So you might have in the middle, you've got the techno capital core and it's Hong Kong or whatever and everything's super, super modernized and really cool and seamless. Or if you're I want to be a homesteader and live back to the Landers style. Then there's a different area and then you'd pay way less in taxes for or your district fees or whatever. and then you can have like less government services, less like infrastructure that's created, and it's more so like, oh, you know, you dig the well yourself or whatever. Yeah. Or if you're like a religious person, maybe you go and you're like, okay, this is going to be like the Islamic sector, and so everything is going to be like, oh, any restaurant you go to is just gonna like everything's going to be halal, like you don't have to worry about it. Or if you want to be like really you know, like hippy dippy, like eco-conscious or something, and you want like, oh, maybe I'll go to a restaurant, it's like everything's going to be organic, what have you. So you can have like people moving to different areas within the city that represent different values, and then you have the added benefit of over time, when you're young, you're like, I don't have any money, I want to live in the libertarian area because like I don't care if people are playing music at 4 in the morning and there's graffiti all over the walls. And then when you're like, okay, I want to settle down and have a family, now you move to the white picket fence area, and you know, you like pay extra money and you have like public schools or whatever.
I always thought the most anarchist thing you could do is when there's like a pothole pissing you off, fixing it yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like something we can't fucking grasp.
Tactical urbanism
in the West.
I think is what it's called.
Like when I was in Athens.
You're getting back into anarchism. You're going back to your anarchist roots.
No, okay. As in Athens, there's a fucking exarchia. The neighborhood in Athens operates exactly like what you're saying. There's fucking soup kitchens. There's squats. If you live in the neighborhood, like you go get coffee, you don't pay for it, but then you pay for like 3 coffees later. It's how like the whole neighborhood operates. You walk out, the fucking shop owners are mopping the sidewalk. There's no fucking streetcar coming through. Like Athens doesn't take care of it. The shop owners do, but it's like besides the graffiti, it's super clean. There's no garbage in the ground. There's no cigarette butts.
It's one of the beautiful things going to Europe. And like, I remember spending time in Turkey as a kid and people washing the streets, like business owners are washing the streets. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the North American
and there's no
mind
pride
can't
here.
fucking grasp
No.
that. We wait for the street cleaner to come by once a week and then get angry when it doesn't and then don't do anything.
When you don't, like when you're just like renting from whoever and you've got like your business friend, then you've got no kind of skin in the game or pride necessarily when it comes to like maintaining anything nice outside of, you're like, I already pay my rent, so any like repairs that needs to be done or there's trash on the sidewalk or whatever, it's like, fucking, that's someone else's problem, because you're not kind of thinking the thing as your own. Actually,
Jane Gatsby literally on the podcast here saying, imagine Chinatown. Imagine there's a
say
place
that,
called
actually.
Chinatown where you go and all the restaurants are Chinese and all the Chinese people live there.
Chinatown's dirty as fuck, though. They got fish bones in the fucking
maybe
streets.
if you have your network state, there's just going to be some dirty places. The Islamic sector, that's what I'm saying. Like, that kind of already happens. You have Japantown, Koreatown, Toronto.
Yeah, so this is a natural thing. Yeah, like, again, this is a feature of complex systems where, like will kind of tend towards like, but that's not a problem. But then also it'd be nice to kind of enshrine those natural patterns that seek to kind of congregate around similarity in, like, maybe you want to have building codes that say, okay, in this area we're going to do like Mediterranean style architecture or something, and everything's going to be closed on Sundays because like we're bringing that like European notion in. But then in a different part of town it's operating by different rules, and so then you can just move around depending on the day of the week and what it is you want, and then put yourself in a system where it's going to be aesthetically and functionally in alignment with your values.
I asked you what Wonderland looks like, and we never really got there.
That was part of it.
Whenever I talk to you Dark Enlightenment, heavy theory people, I always ask for like, what does this world look like? And I never get a clear
it's because you refuse to actually read or engage with the podcast.
Well, you tell me now.
Okay, well, that was part of it.
Okay, I walk into Wonderland. What am I seeing? Well, how do I live? What's my life like in Wonderland? Give me a day in Wonderland.
Depends on where you want to live.
Okay, well, pick a place. It's your city. It's your brain. Put me in there.
Well, you want to live in the techno capital area, in the Islamic area.
There's like an Islamic area. There's like a techno capital area.
The Basque area.
Okay, so within this is another thing. Within your hypothetical city state, there's all these different micro districts of it. Yeah. Okay, let's say I live in the techno capital area.
Okay.
I wake up, what am I doing? What's my job like? What's my day like? Where do I get my groceries?
We've got libertarian bases. So, I mean, a lot of this is up to you, Greg. It's like, what are you? Your job can be whatever. You can be your YouTuber.
I can be a YouTuber in Techno Capital Land?
Of course, yeah.
Do I have techno implants? Are all the buildings made of glass?
I don't know. This is up to these people, what they want to build.
So you're not concerned with the details of how it looks?
I mean, I'm very, big picture oriented in a lot of ways. I want to be able to zoom out and then zoom in, but then there's a lot of details to be done. Like every single episode of Wonderland that I do is like an hour, let's say, and I cover a lot of ground really, really quickly because it's like there's a lot of fucking shit to talk about. And so one thing I want to do is like over time be able to flesh out all the details. But you're kind of asking me like what the details of anyone's day in the life would look like. It's like, well, it's up to you what you want to eat for breakfast. We're not going to be regulating these things.
What
One thing I talk
what
about.
What if I want that to be regulated? Is there?
So then, yeah. So if you're concerned about like using your phone past midnight or something like that, there could be like a zone that's more in terms of like nanny stating like, okay, we're going to really implement rules. Like after this time, we're just shutting off the power, like whatever it is. Where if you want to have like, you know, you don't sell junk food in any of the shops or something.
No power past midnight.
Hell yeah.
Sorry.
Turn off all the Wi-Fi.
Sorry, everyone on a ventilator.
Yeah, you
Too
can't
bad
live in
for
that
you.
area.
You gotta have to go to the ventilator block, the ventilator district.
And then this is also the idea of like, this is why I brought up the abortion ban in Arizona, is because like if you're in Arizona and you want an abortion, you have to go to a different state. But you'd be able to leave all of these places hypothetically.
Yes, of course.
Okay, what if I wanted to make a state where you couldn't leave?
I don't think many people would want to move there.
Okay, what if I wanted to force them?
Okay, you just want to kidnap people?
Yeah, what if I wanted negative borders where I suck in other people?
Good luck.
They all come to here. That's what I'm doing.
The problem is you don't have any
Toronto.
power right now, so
Negative
how are you
borders.
gonna...
Negative borders.
Negative borders. It's when you like your
Unless
place
you're
so
offering
much.
value, I don't think you can aggregate power that allowed you to start kidnapping people and forcing them to live in your weird...
Unless I can aggregate power, you say.
But I think you have to aggregate power by
I'm gonna make a
offering
kidnapping
value.
city-state. you just fall asleep in Honduras and you wake up and you're in my studio. Hello. Hi, I'm Dreg. You're my editor now.
I can tell you more things about Wonderland if you're curious.
I'm curious.
Another one would be an idea that I like in my like protection and police episode. I talk about the idea of like each of these different districts would have as like a central node, what I call a community center, which would basically be the place that you would go to get access to any kind of government or social services. So it would be like a building or a big little like, I don't know, like nest of buildings and like surrounded by like parks and places that people would want to go and just hang out, play structures, gardens, what have yous. And then in the community center would be like, okay, say you need some emergency like medical support. You're like in the park and you like, I don't know, fracture your elbow or something. Or if you're like hungry, there's like a soup kitchen there. Or if you're jobless, there's like basically all of the both like government resources that you could need in terms of like helping someone who's down on their luck, or just like a place to go when you're like, oh, I've got these dishes that I don't need. I'll go drop them off at like, you know, the donation area and someone else will come pick them up. So you would have these centralized nodes that are kind of facilitating community interaction. And then it's also just a place where you go when it's like, ah, fuck, there's a problem. You go there and then there's people who can help you sort it out.
Paint me a picture going from the current society we live in to this patchwork world. How does that happen? How do we
I
go
think
from
I already
point A to
talked
point
about
B?
that with the network state notion. It's like you make the ideas popular, you get people excited about it in an abstract sense, you flesh out the details more and more until you kind of have a really strong foundation of like, okay, we know how all this is going to function. You test it virtually to see if there's any problems with what you've come up with, and then you raise money and go and territorialize somewhere.
I'd live on Acon city state. He's making a city state, and it's going to be called. He's going to use the currency of Acoin. I think that's good branding.
This is a real guy.
Real guy.
Oh no, Akon. Sorry,
Akon.
Is that a real idea?
Yeah, real idea from Acon. But that's the thing. These things never happen. They never seem to happen.
Well, that's because they've got bad people with bad ideas starting them.
Right, but you'll make the cities.
We'll see. I'm mostly interested in just developing the groundwork of the actual ideas, and that if I can do that in my lifetime, that would be plenty. I am getting more curious when it does seem to be like there's a same thing with a lack of people online talking about the things I was interested in. It's like, well, I guess no one else is going to do it. But I'm not necessarily ambitious for political power at all, actually. But I am interested in bringing people together who can make meaningful change in the world.
I agree. Like, I mean, I think you're at a. It is like it's weird that it's a novel concept where it's like you can implement these ideas, and if you don't like them, you don't have to participate.
Yeah.
That's I don't know why that's novel, but it is novel.
Well, and a weird thing too with all like the dark enlightenment type people, the guys who like talking about this stuff, the tech people, the ones that are trying to start things that have actually no principles underlying them, is like there's I've lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? Just no like ethos. It's not. Yeah, you have to be doing something generative and different.
Maybe the kinds of people who are attracted to the city-state idea just don't have a lot of morals behind them.
Right. My complaint was going to be that like there's like people are excited about this idea in the abstract realm, like the network city or the fucking voices or exit over voice or whatever, but nobody's actually coming up with proposals as to like, well, what's the solution? What does it functionally look like? Which is what you're asking me. It's more so just like, but I think that's because it takes time to even get that idea being something that's normalized. But I'm surprised there isn't more people that are interested in doing what I'm doing when it's like, okay, well, like let's get into the details though. Like that's to me is where all the fun stuff happens, is like, what does your ideal city look like? How should we do I have an episode all about justice. Like the justice system, I hope we can all agree, is like dysfunctional. And there's better ways to do like, crime and punishment stuff. but when no one's talking about that stuff, and then people are just getting fucked over when they, you know, get thrown in prison or they go through a divorce or something because it doesn't make any sense. But we're just all like, you know, who's going to change that? You can't from the bottom up like, oh, I'm going to go become a lawyer in Canada and like, you know, revolutionize this entire thing.
Right, you're not a reformist.
Yeah, because there's too much pushback. No, I'm not a revolutionary either. I'm just I'm gonna go over here. Thanks.
I mean, that is like a huge issue with the contemporary right. Is like you're saying there is no like the populist right. There's no ethos. There's no what's the common thread.
Yeah, it's true.
What do they believe in? At
this
least
is something Land actually writes about in the Dark Enlightenment.
Well, because the left at least believes in like social justice or like affirmative action or like intersectionality. Like there's something to walk towards, but the right doesn't have that.
Well, the problem is because the right's kind of composed of two groups. You've got like the libertarians, and then you've got like the conservatives.
Like the unleft.
Yeah, exactly.
The unleft.
Yeah.
Or as the kids call it, lib right and auth right. Lib right and auth right. That's the two groups on the right, and they want different things.
I
know. At least find the point to walk towards.
Yeah, like instead of just being like, we don't want this, we want this instead.
Yeah.
But from an anti-centrist perspective, this is a very tantalizing position, because then you can have all these extremists, and they can all be doing their own things.
And then the concern about, okay, well, I don't like, honestly, I don't think the white nationalist island is necessarily a threat. But if you're worried about like, pedophilia, topia or something, then I do think that
pedotopia. I know where I'm going.
then I do think that everyone else in the world, if all the pedophiles are like, we're gonna go here, it's like, great, we know where to send the nukes, we know where to send the armies in.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem with like something like North Korea right now is that like there's no external incentive to go and help those poor fucking North Koreans out. But if there's a financial incentive, if you're like, oh, we're gonna go fucking kick out I can't remember the guy's name.
Kim Jong-un.
Is that the current one?
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, we're gonna go kick them out. And now we'll turn them all into paying customers of our new place. Then there's actual meaningful incentive to go help the people that are stuck in a bad system.
Hell yeah.
But right now it's like, well, what are you gonna do?
Name the capital of North Korea.
Name 3 countries.
Name 3 countries.
I don't know the capital of North Korea. Do they have a capital?
Yeah.
I don't know it. What is it?
Pyongyang.
It is Pyongyang.
Pyongyang. Yeah. Oof.
Bora Bora.
Bora Bora. Okay. This is me selling my land to the pedophile people. I plant a little nuke right underneath. I'm like, welcome aboard. Hey, come on, guys.
Is that just you making up for your earlier...
So you're a eugenicist also.
You're doubling back?
I'm not a eugenicist.
You're going to kill all the pedophiles?
No, I'm just going to sell the land to the pedophiles. I'm just going to put a little nuke under there. That's all I'm saying. A little nuke.
Unrelated. I think
was Epstein was he like a network state guy?
I don't fucking know.
He had an island. He was rich, and he had his own rules on that island. Is he kind of like he's kind of like the founder? He's like
doesn't seem like a network state to me.
He's like
it seems like an invite-only island.
He's like the most popular and successful example of what you're describing.
No, he's not.
Jeffrey Epstein.
No. Absolutely not.
I mean, this is okay. There's like the pros and cons of the new money phenomenon. Because I kind of hate new money. Most of the manifestations of new money are so fucking annoying. But then the one pro is that you get radicals who also end up getting rich through like get rich quick schemes or something, like starting a company, and then they can implement the radical ideas. That's cool. But the con is the Lamborghini Urus.
Yeah.
Again, these are people without actual values or interesting things going on in their life. So it's like if they get $1 million, it's like time to just buy fast cars rather than do something more interesting. Which is why I respect Elon Musk, because he lives very frugally.
Yeah.
Because he's actually trying to do things. It's like not about the material success. It's about going to Mars.
And you can have a baby named Q897 horseradish.
Wait, so effective accelerationism is trying to propagate these ideas, right? Like trying to create the discourse for these ideas online.
I don't think like that's definitely not their MO, like the network city stuff, but they're definitely adjacent to those sorts of things. Tech people tend to be more open-minded to these ideas, I think, because they tend to be optimistic. They like understand that capitalism's like not an evil thing. They're not really too caught up in like politicking, which is arguing back and forth over culture war issues. They'd rather just like actually build something. And then also they understand complexity theory kind of because of that's the dynamics that underride like AI and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then they tend to have a natural appreciation for these things. But EAC is more so just like not wanting to regulate AI.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're all about. Just accelerate tech as quickly as possible, with no regard to slowing it down or putting regulations on it.
Fuck yeah.
That's accelerationism.
This all sounds exciting. I'm like, I'm down for this.
Great.
Yeah.
I love converting people.
I mean, I've thought about this for a while. It's like I didn't know there was names for it.
Okay, I'm gonna give you guys some states, and you tell me if you would or wouldn't live in it. Okay. A homo state. Everyone's gay. You have to be gay.
No.
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 I'm
okay.
not gay.
A straighto state. No gays are allowed. No. Everyone has to be.
No, you need gays for culture.
Okay, you wouldn't live there either.
Yeah.
What about
Diversity is our strength.
You're thinking.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, I might live there. It wouldn't be first on the list, but I wouldn't have an issue living there.
Mixed race ethno state.
Explain.
Reverse ethno state. Basically, anyone can come, but you have to mate with someone of a different race. In the attempt of long term,
I'm a libertarian. None of these are going to appeal to me. They're all just some
arbitrary
rule.
I would only do that if it lacked, if it had a monoculture of its own. I wouldn't do that if it was just like.
But would you want to live there, or would you just tolerate living there?
I'd be fine with it as long as it had a monoculture. I wouldn't live there if there was like Chinatown and Brampton and like India. Okay. I wouldn't do that. That pisses me off. That's the worst part about Toronto's multiculturalism is that we don't have multiculturalism. We import like 4 different groups and they just go off on their own and you feel like you don't live in the West.
Right. And Capistan. The only rule is non-aggression principle, so you can't do any harm to anyone.
Hell yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Strong yes.
Anyone, like you can do heroin, you can do whatever you want. As long as you're not harming anyone.
No, because I want rules.
Right. Okay.
Can I wait? If I get like, can I like? There's no vigilante justice. Like I can't harm anybody. If someone's like just destroying something, I can't be like, hey, stop that. And get in a fight with them.
Then you get into like NAP arguments of like what violates the NAP. But like, yeah, if like the person
within Ancapistan, I could make my Wonderland city state. That'd be fine, but it wouldn't actually be within the structure of anarchy. Like that's just against status quo.
Okay, and Comistan, where you can do vigilante justice if the mob wills it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I had a great. I was friends with someone from Cuba. And they would hunt down rapists and lynch them in her village. I thought that was beautiful. I was actually so excited when she told me that. I was like, really? She's like, yeah, all the men get up at 2 a.m. and like lynch the rapist. I'm like, that's how every city should work. I wish that was in Toronto. Imagine like the rapist gallows at Yonge and Dundas.
We had that system for a while in America.
Yeah, we should go back. No,
there was
not that
certain
one.
Group
not
of people.
Not that one.
If we're using the word lynch.
I don't want that one.
And then sometimes, maybe even most of the time, there was a little bit of, I did it, but I'm going to blame this black guy instead.
Yeah, not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Heroin camp.
Heroin camp, that's your idea.
Yeah.
You want to take all the homeless people and make a hobo state.
Yeah, it would work great. They'd be housed, they can just do drugs and rot, and like no one makes them do anything. If that's what you want, you should be allowed to do that. It's the most ethical solution to the problem.
In Jane's world, they need money to fund this state.
Yeah, but here's the good thing is that you can just, like if your flat citizen tax is like $10K a year and you don't have a job, then you just go to a community center and you're like, hey, give me a job. I'll set you up with a job. And then you can just pay your dues by doing work.
You can you can fucking fall on $10K a year. You can just find that line around.
Robo state. Everyone's a robot.
No, I'm not gonna like any of these.
Can I kiss the robot?
You gotta kiss the robot. You can kiss the robots.
Okay, I'll do that.
But you have to be a robot yourself.
Hands behind my back, lean in, kiss.
You gotta replace your flesh though.
Fuck. I was just thinking about that actually.
Yeah? You were thinking about replacing your flesh?
I had a side thought, like while you guys were talking, I thought I would replace my flesh for a bit.
Nano state? Only men.
No, I feel like you need. I like a 5. Like I think like a night out, a proper night out on the town. I like 1 woman to every 4 men. Perfect vibe.
Okay. Methno state. Only meth is allowed.
Yes.
You can't do weed or alcohol, just meth.
Does the meth still kill me?
Yeah.
Ah, fuck.
But you could do it in like moderation.
Will I have like panic attacks if I take too much meth?
It's really up to you how your own body reacts to meth.
I don't think I could do that. I don't have a good track record with meth.
Dice-no state. Every morning, the dictator wakes up and rolls a 20-sided die, and that determines what the laws are going to be that day.
Where do you want to live?
Dice-no state.
It's because you can't commit to anything.
I'm too fluid and flexible. I like this idea because it would allow me to try something out for a bit. The argument against it, though, is like what you were saying, where you can like you can go to one place, make a lot of money, and then move to another place to start a family. We'd have that. That's like you go move downtown. That's what we're doing. Make a lot of money and then escape.
No, because what you pay in taxes is not dependent upon where you're. Like, there's a small difference, in terms of like different provinces or something. But but it's not structurally enshrined in a way that's like so clearly designated. Like, this is. You're going to be paying way less money and there's going to be way less infrastructure versus you're going to be paying more money and there's more, white picket fences and flower boxes and things. It's all kind of in Toronto.
Saplo, where do you want to live? Come here.
North Korea.
Why are you here then?
I'm here for YouTube.
YouTube no state. There we go.
Everyone's vlogging and everyone's famous.
Oh yeah, everyone's vlogging. Yeah.
Everything you do is just a huge collaboration with a bunch of famous people. Like, everywhere you go is just like every restaurant, every Walmart's full of famous people.
Am I hearing a utopia?
Influencer state.
That would be insufferable. You can't go on the bus without someone vlogging right in your face.
Yeah.
Even the bus driver's vlogging. It crashes.
I'd love to watch a bus driver GoPro vlog live stream.
Yeah.
I'd fucking $5 super chats every hour. On the hour. So how do we get here? What do we do?
Well, you've asked this 3 times now.
I know, but like,
okay, here's my impression.
do I just tweet about this?
Here's my impression of how Jane Gatsby wants to get here, okay?
Yeah.
We all do a lot of thinking and a lot of reading, which is coincidentally what Jane Gatsby
And
does
discussion, too. Like, the
discussion.
idea generation, if this is on a Discord server or a forum or some other platform, of like, it'd be great to get, once you've got a strong enough community involved, it's like, okay, let's figure out, like any fucking arbitrary political thing that you need to sort through. How, like, okay, Georgism, like, how are we going to get into the weeds of this, of dividing up land and what have yous? Then you get a bunch of people where it's like that's kind of in the realm of their expertise, and then they can start arguing about things and constructing things. Like, you get experts in whatever fields.
But then the first movers are the billionaires. The billionaires with all the capital, they go and they start buying out these things. You see small-scale successes, which I believe you will, actually.
You get funding, yeah.
Like, Cryptopia or whatever. They'll have their little Ancapistan here, and then people will be like, well, Ancapistan sucks. I'm going to make Conservatopia over here. And then I'm going to make, like, Ancomtopia and Communistopia or whatever. And then you have, like, the small inklings of big ideas with capital behind it. And then eventually it trickles down, and then you have more and more. It's like a product. It's like you get more and more of these variants of that product. That's how capitalism loves to worm its way into more and more niche specificities.
Yeah.
A crypto-based economy with some gold, Bitcoin gold-backed finances. So you have deflationary currency, which is good for the people. What else do I want?
I think we're just gonna head
Restorative justice.
Head this direction anyway. I think we're just heading.
This is the UAC. It's like, so when you sometimes put in the work, right? Like the success of whatever people that are trying to do this right now is going to depend upon how good the ideas actually are, and if they're operating off of any sort of locus of principles or ideology that's grounding the people, or if it's just like what Praxis is doing of like, let's just throw a bunch of people in a Discord server and get them to argue. And I'm like, that's not going to do anything. Like, you need to have some sort of structure on high being like, this is what we're about, and then generate all the nuances from there.
So you think Bitcoin and gold are good because they're deflationary, but I
hard money, yeah.
have an inflation fetish.
I know you do.
So I want UBI, and UBI would cause inflation.
But you love silly ideas.
You just keep printing more and more
yeah,
money.
you love silly
it's
ideas.
It's called infiniflation.
I know.
So the bread's like $1 billion, but I'll get like $1,000 trillion a month.
I don't think anyone will want to live here.
Well, I think that's what the free marketplace of
sure,
ideas
you
is
can
all
try
about.
it out, Greg.
I'll try it out, and I think
check in 50 years.
Yeah.
I think a big thing is convincing so many. My experience thus far in life has been that all kind of radical or all subversive thinkers migrate away from the left eventually. It just seems like the left is like the popular political movement now, like universities, and then everyone kind of wants to go towards the right because that seems like the hippie radical direction to go. And I think it's convincing those people that they should go this direction instead. They shouldn't try to stop picking between like left and right. They should stop trying to become unleft.
Well, when you go hard right enough, then you end up here is a thing.
I don't think people find it though. I think so many young people are just fucking concerned with like Jesus. So many radical young people are just like, oh, we need religion back. And that's like their big moral
Well, you could
Well,
have
it's
your
because again,
direction.
it's because they need some sort of they're recognizing the fact that our society is bereft of any sort of like unifying
moral code.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you cannot revive the murdered God per Nietzsche.
I know. I just just people want to pivot towards tradition, right?
And there's value in tradition, but then it's like
I agree.
pulling out all the wheat from the chaff in terms of like you can't just go like, oh, okay,
Now,
the Bible, let's just go back there.
As of today, I now believe in the Bible because that's what it seems like young people do now. They just like spin the wheel and pick something. They're like, this is what I believe in now.
Now, by young people, do you mean people you see on your algorithms?
Yeah, I think a lot of young people.
Right, which are people like you because that's what the algorithm's showing you.
I think most young, I would say the young people with like actual voices. I mean, there's a lot of young people who just like broad. There's a lot of young people who just like believe whatever they're told, but like the 20% pivot towards right.
The one thing I like about complex theory a lot too is that like it has an implicit in this idea is like the notion of emergence, right? Where it's like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You've got this like, or like the idea like people don't have ideas have people.
Yeah.
Like the idea is like actually the causal vector that's pulling things in a certain direction, and so that does open you up to new notions of spirituality or of divinity or something like that, but it's based in an actual like empirical understanding of the world rather than what some book told you to believe, which is why I'm going down like my mysticism rabbit hole right now. It's because it's like there is wisdom there, but you just need to split it off from I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm not a religious person.
I wish Andrew Tate would get more into politics. I think Andrew Tate's my favorite thinker.
I wish Andrew Tate would get more into politics.
Andrew Tate's my favorite contemporary thinker.
He's a postmodernist.
Yeah, it's like insane. Actually, if you view him from
He's
that
a
lens,
Marxist postmodernist.
he's a postmodern neo-Marxist.
Yeah.
Everything he says, he just needs to like realize that in himself and then apply these ideas rather than just like kind of ranting, like going on like juvenile rants on the internet.
A pomo nomo homo.
Bonomo, homo, nomo.
Well, that's a Deleuzian idea that to succeed in capitalism, you need a Marxist analysis, and that's what happened with Nick Land. He started off as a Marxist, then he was like, actually, capital's good after enough amphetamine use.
Is there a question?
Why is he your papa?
I told you this already.
He's
You've got such a
he's on
short-term
so
memory.
many amphetamines.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
He's evened out.
Now his brain's kind of burned out.
No, he's great right now.
Yeah. What's some of his best takes recently?
I recommend people read Cryptocurrent. That was like the last thing he posted to Substack, which is really good. Where he's just talking about like Bitcoin and capital and what you're saying of like the pull of capital.
One of the points he makes, I think, is like the capital advances quicker than people can critique it. Like left-wingers cannot critique capital because we just figure out how like capital works before the internet, and now it like works completely different. It's like a higher, advanced, more complicated state of crypto.
Mm-hmm. Now we've got Bitcoin.
Now we got Bitcoin. Now we got to figure that out, and there's no good leftist critiques of that yet.
I mean, like I'm reading the techno-feudalism book. It's pretty popular, but it came out like 2 years ago, and it's like I just feel like that's old already. The idea of like we're all serfs to platforms, like that was reality like 10 years ago.
Is that old, or is that exactly what Jane Gatsby's describing?
Old? What do you mean?
We were serfs to different, billionaire tech monarchs.
Is it old?
Like that's what we're going towards
right now.
Yeah.
We're already there.
We're already there.
Yeah.
But like
we work for YouTube.
We do work for YouTube.
We are employees of YouTube.
Yeah.
I think
that's Susan or whoever the CEO is.
Your boss.
Yeah, our boss.
She's our monarch. She's our lord. We're like at best lords, and then we have our followers, and then she's our
Yeah, we're landlords. Our followers are the serfs, and then she's our queen.
Mm-hmm. But we're all serfs because we're all scrolling.
Serfdom, billionaires, tech platforms, being an employee. I think it's facetious to try to convince people. See what I mean? All the finance, all the right wing, Andrew Tate type internet people are so fucking close to like figuring it out. And they talk about like drop shipping as like, oh, you want to escape the matrix. You want to escape the matrix. You have to like do all this like online stuff. And it's like, no, you're actually like
feeding into the cycle.
You're so more in the matrix than someone who just fucking works at a convenience store. Like drop shipping is just, you're so much deeper in the fucking shit than someone who just like goes to the bar on the weekend and has like makes like $40 an hour, 40 hours a week.
It's a if you can't beat them, join them sort of thing. But then it's also just lacking any notion of like there's more to life than making money.
No. There's not.
Okay.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, people look at that's the meaning crisis as well, right? Young men going towards like God, going towards aesthetics, going towards tradition, and then like going towards money. Money's sort of the default.
Even in your frame, you need money to make all these things happen.
Money makes the world go around.
Yeah.
But like, money's value neutral. Money will make whatever it is you want it to make.
I think people don't realize that.
Yeah.
I think people think
it can be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. Capital accumulator. That's like the first
Well,
class.
and people kind of like blaming other things. Like when people get pissed off at their social media feed, it's like, bitch, that's your algorithm. Like you're curating in the same way that like, whatever, if you're mad at the junk food that you're eating that's making you feel like crap, like go buy some vegetables. Like, but you have to put agency back in the individual in terms of like, you are going to propagate these things. And of course, there's like broader systemic things that are going to influence that happens. But that's why like creating a society that's more emphasizing your own volitional control and the power that you have in influencing the bigger structures that then influence you. It's always a reciprocal relationship. And so you, as you're that little wandering ant, need to, you know,
be a sigma.
Start making better choices and the world will follow.
Yeah.
What is an attractor state? What does that mean?
It's when you've got like convergent evolution. So like camouflage or something is a good example. Or if you guys know like the meme, like everything evolves into crab. Like crabs, it's like there's like a bunch of different things that look like crabs that evolve these different evolutionary trajectories.
Crabs stop evolving. Like once things become crab, they stop evolving.
Oh, I don't know about that.
The crab singularity.
Yeah, like
it's all crab.
Horseshoe
Techno-crab,
crabs. Like there's a bunch of things that
techno-crab
evolved into horseshoe crabs, and then horseshoe crabs haven't evolved in 2 billion years. Or something.
So a bucket is an attractor state because we put all the crabs in there.
Yeah, well, you could say like you could go in like different cultures, archaic cultures from all over the world are going to invent pots because like a pot is like a good technology. It's like here's some liquid and I got to carry it, put it in a pot. And so that's something that if one guy got to the patent office first and was like, I did pots, I got it, the wheel or whatever.
Yeah.
Now you've got a problem because everyone else can't carry water no more.
Okay. What's the significance of that idea in your framework?
I mean, it's just a way of understanding reality. It pertains to all sorts of different things. It's just
your framework.
What do you mean?
Like if this convergent evolution stuff, you're basically letting 1,000 flowers bloom. Mm-hmm. Is the idea that they're gonna like converge?
Not all upon one thing. It's just saying that like in a system, there's going to be certain values that have utility, and so those things will continue to crop up. You could say like the virtue of honesty, you're not killing your neighbor or something, is an attractor state because in various societies we realize when you murder people, it kind of just begets more murder, and that's not very good. And so it's just like a fact of reality that's pulled out of all this chaos because like when an animal can camouflage itself into its environment, it can live longer.
What are you looking at?
I have a list of things I wrote down.
Oh,
for Jane.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a novel concept.
Yeah. Well, you're a Randian objectivist.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not a anarcho-capitalist. You're a Randian objectivist.
Okay.
So that's
why are these things mutually exclusive?
Are you an you're not? Are you an ANCAP?
I don't know if I identify with that term.
But you do identify with Randian objectivism.
Yeah, I love Rand.
And why?
Based mommy.
Rand
gets it right when it comes to just describing, like, I think for a moral framework, Rand gets a lot of things correct in terms of being like, you need to live your life based on your empirical and intellectual knowledge and beliefs and pursue your own values in spite of what other people might try to tell you. And that's a good thing for you and for others.
I'd agree with that if most people weren't retarded.
Well, that's why you shouldn't listen to the retards.
I know, but that's my issue. Is that
but Rand doesn't want you to listen to the retards. Rand doesn't want, that's the whole point, is saying you should be your Sigma male.
This is what I mean, though, is like I like that idea, and I see myself as like a pragmatist. Like I try to like find the guiding philosophies in my life, like day to day. I think one of them is like not doing things that make me hate myself, and doing things that make me like myself.
Yeah.
And if I said that to somebody who is, really skeptical of young people. They'd be like, oh, well, you just want to play video games all day because those make you happy. I'm like, no, the things that make me happy are like deep responsibility and like long-term planning.
Yes.
Those make me happy.
It's the junk food versus the vegetables thing. It's like, and that's why like Rand's whole thing is not hedonism, it's rational self-interest. And so the hedonic thing might make you happy for a minute, but the rational self-interest thing has got this longer time horizon on it.
I just don't trust most people to not be hedonic, though. I think most people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to do what makes me happy, and then be like, self-care day, Ben & Jerry's and Netflix.
I think
I don't want to go to work today.
I have those days. Everyone has those days.
Yeah, it's fair to have those days every once in a while, but then chasing it as a goal, I think that's what most people get caught up in.
But then they're missing out on the rational. They're just doing self-interest moment by moment. But I think anyone, if you do enough Ben & Jerry's and Netflix for a year, eventually go, I feel like crap. Maybe I should try to find some meaning.
No, they'll double down and be like, oh, now I'm body. I gained,
you get
I gained
resentful of
80
the world.
pounds, and like the fact that the world hates me because I'm fat now, their issue. I think so many people double down. So many people make their lives shit and then blame the world and blame the system for like not liking them, and like actually the whole world, the whole external world is the issue, and the individual is perfect. I just meet a lot of fucking dumb people.
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason I feel like I have a strong moral compass. I have a strong direction in my life. I always have, because I have like such a strong family background, right? And like grew up religious with a lot of those values. I don't know. But not that that's the answer. I don't think the answer is like everyone has to be religious, but I just don't trust people to have things figured out.
People create culture, and culture creates people. And so, if you have 20% of the population that's going to actually adopt the rational self-interest thing to like the full extent of what that implies, then they'll pull the 80% in that direction, even if they're not necessarily seeking it out, even if that 80% isn't wanting to eat healthier food or go to the gym or, care about their future. If that becomes the guiding ethos of the culture, then they'll naturally, because it's like the herd people, right? Where it's like, well, you're just going to go in a direction of whatever's being led. And so if that just becomes the default thing to do, then they'll start doing it.
Yeah.
All right, alphabet tier list, go.
No, this is another podcast.
A.
Keep going.
B. You love the alphabet.
No.
Yeah.
You hate the alphabet.
No. I read
Jane
a book.
Gatsby, that's the title of this podcast. Jane Gatsby hates the alphabet.
I read a book about the kind of symbolic meaning of the order of the alphabet, and it's interesting. That's all.
That's all.
We'll talk about it more another time.
Okay.
You can't get too deep into that.
I don't know. I think I've always felt like J should be way lower. J is too
Yeah?
close to the top. J belongs down in like the fucking.
I don't like J or K.
J belongs with Y.
Yeah, J's like a Y. Should throw it in a Y.
Yeah, J and Y.
J is the 10th letter of the alphabet.
O is perfect. Yeah, J should be like the 20th letter of the alphabet. P and
Corresponds
O
to justice.
are perfect.
Perfect. Yeah,
P-
perfect. That's what I was thinking. P and O.
M, N, O, P, right where they should be. I might move
It
M a
just
bit
rolls
higher.
off the tongue.
Right, M, N, O, P. L, M, N, O, P. Q should be lower. S should be higher. S should be like.
S tier.
Yeah, S should be like.
S is very useful.
Yeah, S should be before E. It should be like A, B, C, S, D. E, F, H, J, K. H should be lower. A little bit, though. H should be like the 14th letter of the alphabet.
What kind of people are attracted to this kind of network philosophy thing?
As I said before, the technologists, techno people.
Okay, so you're kind of like, are you kind of like an outlier? Like you're positing yourself as like moral and principled, and these people are just kind of like.
The tech people?
Yeah.
I think the tech people tend to be pretty moral and principled.
What are their principles?
I don't know. You'd have to ask one of them. I don't think.
Because
you
it
can
seems like their
generalize
principles
for-
are just accelerate tech as quick as possible.
Uh-huh.
But that's not really a principle. It's just like.
I think they're optimists, and I think they believe in human ingenuity and that life is pretty good and there's not much to be bitter about. And if you're angry about something, just work to fix it. Bootstraps, self-interested, rational self-interest. Yeah. They don't think technology is evil. They're not scared of progress. Not resentful of the culture.
I'm not EAC. I'm black.
What's that?
BL/ACC.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't know who else
Do
is
you ever get
interesting.
nihilistic?
Never.
Yeah, why haven't you killed yourself yet? What's going on here?
I guess I'm not neurotic.
Yeah, you're not neurotic. You just think everything's gonna be okay.
I'm just inherently optimistic.
You ever feel neurotic?
Yeah, what makes you neurotic?
You never look at like the corner of a wall and imagine like ripping chunks of drywall off of it?
Never.
Yeah, never happened to you?
Never. I'm not a boy. That's male brain to desire.
Because me and Brogan, we'll often go and he'll pull out the drywall and I'll eat it.
I rip it off and feed it to Greg.
I mean, everyone can get like anxious or depression prone, or like I think these are things we all experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I had kind of the inverse of what you're describing. Of like I really had to learn to cultivate a lot of independence from a very young age and learn to be very self-reliant. And so I think optimism can be a form of cope almost.
Yeah, well, I think non-neurotic people's perspectives on the future is often non-neurotic, and neurotic people's perspective on the future is often like pessimistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to divorce those two.
Yeah.
I'm saying optimism can be cope in terms of like, well, if you've got two choices. I also, okay, here's another big thesis that I like bring back to in Wonderland is beliefs beget outcomes. This is from the free will episode. So if you lean into your neuroticism and your brain's force-based instincts, you'll bring about those things in the world. Whereas if you cultivate a disposition that is positive, even in the light of negative things,
right, so you create the future by envisioning it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Right. And I know this, but I'm actively trying to be as pessimistic as possible.
Are you?
Yeah, so I can bring about as bad of a world as possible.
Okay, so we're enemies.
Climate change is going to be disastrous, and all of our attempts to make things better will make things worse. And AI will be powerful and bad.
Why do you want to be pessimist?
Because I want to create the bad future.
Why do you want a bad future?
Because I'm pessimist.
Okay, circular argument.
Yeah, I'm a last principles. I'm just the aesthetics of the idea. It's your idea is well aestheticized.
Mine is.
Yeah, this network state stuff.
Thank you.
But we do have to make you argue with a communist.
Yeah, that'll happen. Next episode.
Steelman the communism argument, which is that we should all get together and share everything.
It's all the communists kissing each other.
Steelman and communism. I don't know, like because we're all dependent upon other people, so you should want to help other people. I believe in that too. I just don't think communism's the way to do it. Because incentives are very real and people respond to incentives.
If you had to put yourself on this political compass, where are you going? Because it's like, is it like a lib-right overarching framework with like, you basically make an auth-right state?
Yeah, you get into this kind of recursiveness problem of like, I guess I'd be like very far like lib-right, but then you like horseshoeing up into something that's more authoritarian. But then there's the volitional aspect of the authoritarianism, and then the authoritarianism can be creating either if you want to do communist utopia and not suck other people into the system.
When you think about that, do you get nauseous?
About what?
I get nauseous when I think about that.
About what?
Like everything you just said.
Why?
I just start to get nauseous. I don't know what it's like. I don't want to. I just like.
Maybe you just.
I start like.
Something you ate, maybe.
No, not all the time. The second I think about things too much.
Political compass or just ideas in general?
Ideas. The second I think about ideas, I get nauseous. Yeah.
You get hungry.
I love ideas.
You get ravenous.
I start seeing fractals. It's like mushroom nausea. Like okay. I see fractals and I get a pain where there shouldn't be a pain.
You're a very embodied person. You don't really want to have a lot of stuff clouding around in your mind.
No, I hate stuff.
Yeah, you just want to be materialist in terms of like very clear.
I love like 20 things.
Yeah.
20 things.
Just your disposition.
What do you want to do? Like in the next 5 years? Where do you see your life going?
My plan is.
What makes you tick? No more ideas. Come right back down to reality.
Okay, so my actual plan is
I
want to finish Wonderland. It's going to be 18 episodes total. I've got 2 more to do. And then once that's done, I want to go. My whole thing has been like, I want to generate the ideas first and then try to like actually spread them. Because a lot of people get online and they make one viral YouTube video and then they're just subject to audience capture for the rest of their online career.
Right.
And I don't want to have my thinking confounded by external, incentives, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And then try to do as much in this field as I can, get that little ball rolling, and then when I'm like in my 30s, get married, make some kids.
Elon Musk.
somebody. I don't think Elon would be a very good husband. I want to have a good husband. I really want to homeschool my children. This is a big value of mine. Because I'm interested in ideas in education and developmental psychology.
Mob.
I think the education system's not very good. I was very, very bored the entire time I was in school. And kids have so much potential in them when they're young, and you can shove a lot of information and talent into them. And we don't really exploit that as much as we could. And I just want my kids to be challenged and talented and have all the knowledge of the world available to them. So I want to homeschool my children and kind of document that experience in some sort of way, share it online in a way that's beneficial. And then we'll see what happens after that.
I was thinking like with math class, I didn't absorb a single concept for like 5 years. All I would have taken was someone saying, "Oh, this is like what the universe is made out of." I would have gone, "Oh," and then absorbed it all.
Yeah,
but like no one made the pattern. No one showed me the pattern. They just gave me words.
Yeah.
Right.
Education suffers because it kind of tries to put things like subjects into boxes of like, now you're in math class, now you're in science class, now you're in like lit class, instead of being like
unconnected.
Yeah, and it's like no,
don't try to connect them.
This is a rhizome of information we're dealing with, and the investigating the spandrels is where the excitement comes from.
The rhizomatic school of Jane Gatsby.
Sure.
You could right-wing grift. You could.
I know.
You could get audience captured.
People like to accuse me of right-wing grifting, and I'm like, I'm not making any money, and I don't have a following, so
but
I'm
you
doing
could.
it
All
very
you have to do is
poorly.
make some YouTube videos.
I know.
You should.
I don't want to grift though.
You should do one.
One little right-wing grift.
Yeah, a little soiree.
Then you have to engage with reality.
Okay,
though.
what's the topic?
I don't know why the woke mob is bad.
Why the woke mob is bad?
I think it's been covered.
Not by you. It hasn't been covered enough. I think we need
I'll do a very compassionate
20
version.
more years of why the woke mob is bad.
These kids are hurting.
These kids are hurting.
It's not their fault.
If I was your mother.
Give you a little kiss on the forehead.
What was that video? Oh, the Putin one.
Yeah.
If I was your, that woman's video to Putin, she was like, if I was your mother, I would have shown you more love growing up. It was a completely sincere video she made. Her anti-Putin video.
That's you to the woke mob.
Sure. I don't blame anyone for being angry or misguided.
Me neither.
I'm a determinist in that sense. I can only look at the future. That's
neither.
open, available to change.
The past is a corpse.
Can't do nothing about that. But future's filled with potential, and you're undetermined when it comes into reaching forward. But the idea is that you put in your brain matter, and so try to put good thoughts in your head and not toxic ones.
Disagree. Put all the toxic thoughts in your head. Pessimax. Neurotimax.
What's your goal with the pessimaxing? What do you get out of it?
Bad future.
What do you get out of it?
I get to have my neuroses validated.
If we're all neurotic, then no one is.
No, it's like I get to be right. I'm like, see, I told you. The world's burning.
It's not just for the excitement.
It's a little bit for the excitement, I guess.
I'm pessimaxed for the excitement. I'm not pessimaxed.
Yeah.
But I think I'm like 10% pessimaxed for the excitement. I'd love to see. I'm just waiting to get that fucking Reuters notification that Iran did something today.
Yeah.
On the 13th of April, I'm just waiting for the fucking like.
Yeah, you do come in after reading the news, and you're like, it's happening.
Yeah, 8 more hours. Iran's gonna fucking put troops in Syria or something. Just waiting for.
Do you think there's gonna be some sort of collapse that precipitates a move towards this network state stuff?
I think it's already kind of happening to some extent. I think people lost a lot of faith in the government, like 2020, for many reasons. And I think
because they stole the election from your God Emperor Donald Trump.
And I think it's only going to keep kind of progressing. Institutional collapse is kind of an inherent aspect of the rise of the internet, when it's like these things are being supplanted by better alternatives. And then I think like what we're in right now is kind of the cathedral or like whatever relics making a last ditch attempt to kind of have relevancy, which is why people are all upset about, news lines that are just fear mongering or anger mongering and what have you. But also culturally, we're all aware of these issues and we don't like them. And so solutions will come. We just have to identify the problems first, and then things improve, because nobody likes the issues. So solutions are inevitable.
It is one of the ultimate like wins of capital is that, like there's the pivot towards making everything social justice friendly, but now most people are against that, and now all the companies are pivoting away from it because it's like there's no money in it. I think that's good.
Because they don't have any money.
What? People and companies.
The social justice kids.
They don't have any money, it's true.
Some of them maybe, but
So what are some practical things that people watching this podcast, if they're inspired to go and make a state, what should they be doing?
I should read Wonderland or listen to Wonderland and get on the same page. That's the idea, is like I have all the
Your
text
page.
done. Or, their own page. But I think like you got to start somewhere. So I write the episodes in a way that like it doesn't really matter your disposition or what your beliefs are. You'll regardless like get some interesting knowledge out of it, and you're free to agree or disagree, but there's going to be things that you agree and disagree with in every episode. And then if the things I'm describing sound interesting, then get on boarded with me and I'll start doing more community building stuff in the future. Or if you're like hard disagree, I want my own communist utopia, go do that.
Did you know your IQ?
No. I've taken the online tests, but
What did it say?
140.
That's the issue here.
What?
I'm stupid.
You're not stupid. You're smarter than the average bear.
Okay, I want you to engage with, so here's some comments on your YouTube video.
Okay.
When you talk about your politics.
Uh-huh.
Top comment, this is complete fantasy.
Uh-huh.
Second top comment, so you like fantasy, cool.
Mm-hmm.
What do you take?
Which video is this?
This is your
Power one?
What's My Politics?
Uh-huh.
What do you say to people who say that this is all just nonsense intellectualism and doesn't engage with reality?
Hyperstition, baby.
What?
Hyperstition.
Hyperstition. You're hyperstitioning it.
Yeah, everything starts off as fantasy. Any idea, if you want to make a light bulb or United States of America, it's all fantasy until it's real. And people are bitter. Like, if your only critique of what I'm saying is like, so high, pie in the sky, then it's like you're not really engaging with the ideas. You're just resentful that you didn't have them, or like it's too optimistic for you and you want to be in your little black box.
I agree. I hate when people fucking critique YouTube videos for being too fantastical. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking YouTube video.
The series is called Wonderland. Like, I'm inviting you to participate in an intellectual exercise of potential, and by doing that, then you make the things real.
Yeah. No,
but someone's got to make the ideas.
Every YouTube video is doctrine. Every YouTube video is empirical knowledge, and if it's wrong, you should get fucking killed.
And every new idea is fantasy until it's realized. You have to have the idea first before you can make the thing. Like, that's, again...
I do agree with that.
I agree. I think that is the path out of, what is the word? Not populism. Reactionary. That's the path out of being a reactionary, is realizing that you need fantastical ideas. Like, you need anarchists.
Well, this is the problem with, like, all the, like, culture warring, like, IDW type people. It's like, great, you can look at the status quo all day and bitch about from either side of the political spectrum, being like, oh, these guys and their things. But, like, my response is like, well, okay, give me your better alternative. Unless you can actually suggest something that's productive, then like stop complaining.
Yeah.
Like, it's wasting your and everyone else's energy. And like a little bit of cultural critique is fine because you need to be able to recognize the problems. But then just stewing and like complaining isn't getting anyone anywhere.
I know. Let people make cool shit. Let people make shit, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But they made the shit. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's easy.
It's easy to sit on your ass and be your critic.
Oh, I hate critics. That's what I think when I get bad comments on my YouTube videos. I think, what did you make today?
Into the
You should
locker.
start replying to that.
Into the fucking locker, yeah. What did you do today? You wrote this comment.
Is that kind of what compels you not to right-wing grift? Because then you're just complaining instead of actually positing something?
Absolutely. And it's not productive. Something about the comments made me think a thought that flies away so fast.
So you're on the side of capital, but you're not making money.
Yeah, because I'm long. I want to create value, and capital will come through generating value. And I'm in a very lucky position that I've been able to do that. The pandemic started that because of CERB and stuff. It's like, okay, everyone's stuck at home for a year. I might as well start doing the thing I want to do. And then the past year, I've just been working on this and eating my savings, as I like to say, because I'm that bullish on my beliefs being profitable in the future. It's like I will take a chunk out of what I'm currently having to invest in that.
I will say based.
Thank you.
I will also say, if you've been paying attention, not a lot of value being created by capital right now. A lot of drop shipping and courses.
Well, it depends what capital you're looking at. I'm not for the drop shipping of the courses, but I think those things have a short time horizon in terms of how long they'll be sticky for. I mean, the drop shipping, you could argue, it provides value because being an intermediary of like, okay, the Chinese are making these cute bracelets and they're just throwing them up on AliExpress or something, but I'm going to make a cuter storefront for it to get the white girls to buy it and then take my markup. Like, that is a value add because you're curating from all of the, millions of products that are on a platform and centralizing them, and there's some aesthetic component going on. But a bunch of people are doing that and the quality isn't really there, and people don't really love having plastic clothes. Oh, right. I was going to say about the YouTube comments. The thing to keep in mind is, like, I've never commented on anything like YouTube video in my life.
Yeah.
Do you guys comment? You comment on YouTube videos?
I commented on one through your account.
Did you?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
You comment on YouTube videos, but
Yeah,
do you?
I do.
No, I lead a rich, fulfilling life.
Yeah, like I think people.
My day is a cacophony of a mosaic of social interactions and experiences. I don't have time to fucking write a comment unless it's outright praise.
People commenting on YouTube videos are either like children or like old people.
I get that.
And the old people write you like nice long paragraphs, and they'll actually engage with the thing, and that's fine. Or it's a kid being like fantasy. Yeah.
I get mad.
I encourage small YouTubers. Like if I come across a video I really like that is like under 5,000
Yeah,
views,
I mean,
I'll say like you're onto something. Keep doing this.
Right. I mean, I mostly do that, but then sometimes I watch some AI slop farm content, and I'm like, you know, when they explain every political ideology for the 50th time, and then I comment like.
But you're also kind of doing that, I'm assuming, because like your channel has weight. Like if you were just had a nothing YouTube channel, then you probably wouldn't feel compelled to like comment shit on some random YouTube video.
You get the fucking great check.
The great check? Oh yeah, I do have the great check.
You get the great check.
What's that?
YouTube, you get the great check when you get 100k subs.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
it pops up everywhere. Like if you comment.
Do you get
it's
another
beside
one
your
for a
name.
million, or is it just gray?
You get Mr. Beast's face.
I like whining.
Yeah, I can
I'm
tell.
neurotomaxed. I love whining. I think whining's great. Just whine. The woke capitalism. I'm just pro whining. I don't care where you're whining from.
I don't care where the whining goes.
I don't care where it comes from. As long as you're like neurotically whining about something.
You have to be in fear.
Live in fear. Die alone. Those are my principles. First principles.
Or are you trying to build community right now?
Huh?
In the middle, you can have some fun, or
I'm trying to make community because I believe in it.
you want to die alone?
I'm,
You have to ostracize yourself in the
I'm a
community.
man of contradictions.
Uh-huh.
Live in fear. Die alone. That's the real horseshoe theory.
Live in fear. Die alone.
Alone.
And that's the real horseshoe theory. Bang!